And it's hard because sometimes we end up being quiet or staying small, playing it safe, so we don't rock the boat. But the bad part about this is that we also bring it to the workplace, we bring it to relationships, and because we don't get support at home, it's not a surprise that we don't go for things, we don't have that confidence, or we don't reach our fullest potential.
After leaving the corporate 9-to-5 grind, I became the boss of my own spiritual business, helping others explore and navigate the human experience from insight, wisdom, and lessons learned along the way. Today, I help aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs gain the confidence to share their gifts with the world. Welcome to the Happy Healing Shop podcast. I'm your host, Trang Pham Nguyen, and each week we'll dive into incredible stories of strength, resilience, and transformation. So, if you are ready for some serious breakthroughs, laughs and tears, and stories that will inspire you, you are in the right place, my friend. Let's get started.
Today, I am talking about breaking generational trauma as you are living through it. Now, I'm going to talk more about a personal experience I dealt with family and also an exercise I did to kind of come to a more of a level of acceptance and healing. Now, if you are the black sheep, like I am, you will probably feel a sense of resistance because it's not easy at all to break the cycle that has been happening in our families for generations. And usually you're the only one that sees this. And it seems like everyone else in the family is unaware of the forces that are put into play, whether it's culture, religion, living in a patriarchal society, and them not seeing that there's something wrong or that there's unfairness going on. And what people don't tell you is that it's normal to go through a grieving process through all this. Now, if you are the black sheep in your family and feel really isolated and alone, I invite you to check out the Happy Healing Club, which is my membership where you can connect with other people just like you who are on their own healing journey and who are there to support and cheer you on. And also what's beautiful about this community is that for people who have gone through it, they're able to give wisdom and advice in different perspectives that have helped them and that could help you. In addition, we have monthly healing events and workshops. You'll also receive our self-healing shadow work journal to help you do the inner work, as well as our archive of guided meditations and access to our happy hour where you're able to connect with other people. So make sure you check out thehappyhealingshop.com/club for more details. So what I noticed in our community is that there is a theme of frustration and deep sadness when it comes to family, whether it's a family member or the whole entire family itself. And so I know what I'm talking about. I am not alone, and you are not alone, and that there are sucky siblings and sucky families, and it's not easy being in them. It's not easy going to functions and outings with them. And sometimes what might feel safe is doing surface level talk, which on a deep soul level, it's not quite fulfilling. But I remember a former community member saying that once she started treating family like acquaintance, and that started changing expectations, right? Things got easier, and it was easier to cope that way. Now, the thing about family is we kind of a lot of us grow up thinking that, you should have their support, but that's not the case for a lot of us. Some of our biggest critics are our family members in what we choose to do in how we live our lives that might be fulfilling to us, but might be beneficial to their agenda. And it's hard because sometimes we end up being quiet or staying small, playing it safe, so we don't rock the boat. But the bad part about this is that we also bring it to the workplace, we bring it to relationships, and because we don't get support at home, it's not a surprise that we don't go for things, we don't have that confidence, or we don't reach our fullest potential or step into our power and speak our truth. Now, the thing about my family is that I would say, lean more on the traditional Asian side. Majority of them are in the finance sector or in the health sector. And then there's me in a more creative role. And one thing I noticed about my family is that, we all grew up Catholic, but it's kind of like they're a hamster just going on a hamster wheel, and they don't question things. They don't question the belief systems that we were taught growing up. They don't question religion. They kind of accept things as they are. Now, there is a huge pain point between me and my brother. We don't really talk. We don't keep in contact. The last time we talked was when we had to coordinate things for my mom's funeral. And even then, that didn't go too well. And the thing that people in my family have said in the past to me, with me and my brother, is to get over it. And the thing is, they don't understand that my family, my cousins, and the other side of the family, they didn't grow up with me and my brother. So they don't know the tiny little nuances that he did growing up or how he is as a person that has affected my family. And honestly, a lot of the family members enable his behavior. They kind of let it slide, or you can call it sweep it under the rug. And I think a part of that has to do with our Asian culture of saving face, or saying like, oh, you shouldn't be speaking bad about someone, or even avoiding the conversation overall, or not seeing that anything's wrong, not being aware of, again, like I mentioned earlier, the unfairness, how women are treated very differently in the family. So, an example of an incident that happened was we were at a Thanksgiving dinner. So, my family mainly gets together for Thanksgiving and for Asian New Year's. Sometimes Christmas, depending or not, because people have different sides of the family or in laws that they have to go to. So, with Thanksgiving, my brother flew in. So, even though he lives much closer to my dad and could have spent Thanksgiving with him, he flew all the way from Virginia to California instead. So, after dinner, usually we bring out board games and play. And there was one game where they said, oh, why don't you and your brother just team up? And then us two can team up and we can play against each other. And I didn't want to. It's funny because there were a couple of cousins. And I found it very interesting that they specifically pointed out to make a team with me and my brother, knowing the history that we have. And so what I did without them realizing it was testing to see if they were aware of the unfairness. And this is what I mean. I said, oh, there's the other cousins that are sitting on the sofa. Why don't you make them play as well? Because it's hard to explain, but if you were there, you would have been able to see it and understand the situation more. And so they kept egging on. That's the word. They kept egging on for me and my brother to play. But the thing is, there were so many other cousins that they didn't ask or egg on to play. And I said, oh, how about so-and-so and so-and-so on the sofa? Come play with us. And the cousins that were sitting on the sofa said, no, we don't want to play. And I said, no, I don't want to play either. And they kept egging on like, no, why don't you and your brother play together? Obviously, they're not going to remember this, but I did. But it's more so that they pinpointed me and my brother, egging me and my brother to play. Whereas with all the other cousins, they didn't even bother. And so I don't think my cousins were aware of how unfair it was, and that they didn't push the other cousins who also said no, but they pushed for me to play, especially with my brother. I think to make it easier to understand, imagine if you were being egged on to play with your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend on the same team. And they kept pushing it even when you said no. And there are plenty of other people on the sofa that could play with you. So of course I brought this up with my therapist in a session of figuring out on how to deal with family and being able to communicate in a way that, again, sets those boundaries and makes sure that the communication is clear, but not say in a way that would start World War III. Now, thank goodness for her, because she is able to kind of look from it from an outside point of view and not be emotionally attached to it. Feel free to take what I'm about to say as a template if you need to communicate with certain people in your life on what's okay with you and what's not. And if they don't bother respecting your wishes or listening to you, then I think you'll know that it's time to move on from them. So after Thanksgiving and having this session with my therapist who helped me write this letter, this is what I sent. Hi, there are some things in my mind that I want to share with you. I am really hoping you can read this and respect my wishes and be able to understand me and where I am coming from. This past Thanksgiving, I once again felt pressured to get along with my brother, board games, for the satisfaction of the family. I was left feeling upset because I was feeling pressured to do something I was not okay nor comfortable with, and noticed no one else was pressured. Because of the relationship I have with my brother and what has happened throughout the years and in the past, I am asking all of you to respect my wishes to decline going to the Lunar New Year's party and also to not force my brother and me to work together during events and functions. There have been things that happened that he's done to my parents and me that have been very hurtful, and it was not a one time incident, but over the span of our lives. My parents will probably never share those stories. As a result, I don't feel we're at a place to be on the same team or working during family events or functions. I feel tense and stressed when he is around and often leaves me to not have as much fun as I would like. I really enjoyed celebrating Christmas this year with you guys. I want to be open and honest. I have been feeling like my feelings and experiences, past and present, have been invalidated by most family members. I'm really hoping you can respect my wishes, even if you don't fully understand them. With my experience at Thanksgiving and also the past holidays, there are times that the family has enabled my brother, and that's not okay. I'm hoping to see more support rather than enabling behavior such as not working together when we play games and holding him accountable instead of allowing him just to get away with his selfishness and lack of help and involvement in the family, especially with my parents. Part of this is due to our patriarchal culture and upbringing, and I know this may impact the family, but this is important to share for my own mental well-being. This is important to share with you, and I am hopeful that you respect my wishes and boundaries. Thanks for understanding where I am coming from. And what was good about this letter or message that I sent to the group chat is that it communicated how I felt. It also talked about where I felt my boundaries were pushed and how it was unfair and what I wanted or expected or would like out of them. And then also, it was in a very tactful manner. And in the end, they responded pretty well and said, "Thank you for letting us know," or "I'll keep this in mind for next time." Or they heart emoji the text. It allows them to know what they weren't aware of and how it affected me. And it was still respectful. The hard part, which she helped me with, was not to rant and blabber on. And she said, if they want to learn more about how you feel or want to dig deeper, then they can come to you privately in a conversation or ask to chat with you. Which obviously my family, I was not expecting for that to happen at all because I just know them as that way. So that was finally probably a message that needed to be said to them for such a long time. And looking back when my mom passed away, my brother wasn't really there at all for the family. He wasn't there for me, and he definitely was not there for my dad. And it saddens me, but also frustrates me. Probably more so angers me, the fact that it had to take my mom dying for the family to realize what type of person he is, when I felt like I've been trying to tell them for the longest time, for all these years. Now, moving on, there are exercises you can do or journaling prompts you can do that can help heal with your inner child and how to speak what you want to say deep down inside. And one of the exercises is writing a letter to them. And just to give you an example, I'm going to read an entry that I wrote for my family. Dear entire family, I grew up where you did not realize it, but you treated women differently from the men in the family. The expectations of us to give more and do more when the men got away with things. You didn't realize how over time this unequal treatment had bred resentment. And yet you continue to enable it, dismissing my feelings and invalidating my experiences, telling me to get over it. I felt angry, frustrated, disempowered, and trapped in a place and dynamic I felt I couldn't escape. As you continue to treat my brother with no repercussions, the unfairness made me want to leave. I know you by default want to shield and protect me from the dangers in the world, but you didn't see that I was a bird, ready to fly earlier than all the other birds, ready to spread my wings. And so the bird wondered why every other bird got to leave its cage while it had to sit. I wish you knew that the way you treated me is the reason I became independent and on my own, because I had to fly on my own path and to escape on my own terms, not limited by your words or how you treated me. You wonder why I don't look forward to family gatherings and birthdays, etc. It's a revisit and reflection of being surrounded by people who stunted me, who held me down without wanting to learn why I am the way I am and who I am. I had to learn to let go of you because at this point, things won't change. As I am aware of the microdynamics and no one else's, the status quo, the oppressive culture, and gender norms and expectations, I have to walk away from it all. And it's been a difficult journey. that you won't understand because you choose to not understand. I wish you all saw how unfair the patriarchy is, how minority groups and genders have a tiring uphill battle to fight for ourselves. I wish you were able to be advocates, to fight along with me, and be truly supportive so wouldn't feel so alone. Today, I still feel resentful for time and energy being wasted, but also surprised at the path it's led me on. I'm sad that things don't look hopeful and on changing the family. I release my connection to the family and bloodline. I'm not obligated to be tied for customs or traditions. In fact, I create my own family, my own tribe that I wish to have. And ultimately, in the end, I create and am in control of my own life and walk my own path. This is one of the many exercises you can do. If you're looking for a journal with additional prompts that can help you get through things such as family dynamics or growing up with not the best parents, guardians, then I highly suggest checking out our Shadow Work Self-Healing Journal, which I'll include down below in the show notes. It's a journal that has different prompts that can help you self-heal and do the inner work. So I hope today's episode gives you a little sneak peek on what the process and journey may look like on healing generational trauma and generational patterns while you're still living it. I would love to hear from you, so please comment on what family dynamics you've had to navigate, or if you're still stuck in it, or if you've learned to walk away or set certain boundaries, limitations for your own peace and happiness, or even if you create your own family and what that looks like for you. And finally, always, always remember to shine your light brightly and to share your story, because you never know who it can help, give hope to, or inspire to create a change in their own world. Thank you so much for listening and for being here with me, and I'll see you next time.